Hello kids, chapter 10. Football players are really dumb. Let's find out. Boys and girls, today we have a special and famous guest, Miss Daisy said. His name is Boomer Wiggins. Wow was the first thing everybody said. Who was he? He was the second thing everybody said. But I knew who Boomer Wiggins was because Boomer Wiggins was my hero. He was the quarterback of my favorite football team, the Chargers. Wow, a real football player right in our classroom. Miss Daisy told us that Boomer Wiggins had a daughter in 4th grade, and that's why he was spending the day at our school. When Boomer Wiggins walked into the class, everybody gasped. He was really big and had so many muscles that they poked right against his shirt. We all crowded around him, and Boomer let us feel his arm muscles. I couldn't even get my hands around them. Then Boomer picked up Emily with one hand. He was amazing. Then he gave each of us a little plastic football, and he signed his name on each one. Does anybody have any questions? Boomer asked. Do you like knocking guys on their butts? I asked. Everybody laughed. Even though I didn't say anything. That was funny. Miss Daisy said it was butt, not butts, because a person only has one butt. But I said a butt was divided into 2 halves, so really it could be butts. Miss Daisy said that was enough of that talk. I said she shouldn't be complaining because she was the one who started it. I don't like knocking people down, Boomer told us. But sometimes we have to because it's part of the game. Mr. Wiggins asked Miss Daisy, is it true that football players are really dumb? We all gasped. Do you think that offended him? I was afraid Boomer Wiggins might knock Miss Daisy on her butt. Excuse me, Boomer said, like he wasn't sure he had heard the question. Well, somebody once told me that if you play football, you don't have to know how to read and write and do arithmetic or go to school. Who told you that, Boomer? Asked Miss Daisy. Everybody looked at me. I slid down so that my head was almost under my desk, and I hid behind my notebook. Oh, a good friend of mine told me, Miss Daisy said. Is it true? If I didn't go to school, I could never have become a football player, Boomer told us. I have to read and study my playbook very carefully. I have to write letters to my fans. Every week I have to study very hard to get ready for the next game. Did you go to college? Asked Miss Daisy. Yes, Boomer said. And when my football career is over, I plan to go back to school so I can become a doctor. Wow, I said. I want to go to college someday so I can become a doctor and knock guys on their butts. Butt. Everybody laughed even though I didn't say anything funny. Then, to prove how smart he was, Boomer Wiggins read us a book and passed out bookmarks that said, Achieve your goal by reading on them. Miss Daisy said that even though Boomer read the book to us, we could still add 52 pages to the total number of pages we've read. The temperature level on the thermometer in the hallway kept getting higher and higher. Chapter 11, We Rule the School. Do you think they made their goal? Finally, the big moment arrived. It was Andrea Young, of course, who read the 1,000,000th page. We all cheered when Miss Daisy went out in the hallway and filled to the top of the thermometer all the way up to the words 1,000,000. That Friday night, everybody in the whole school showed up at school. Can you believe it? I actually couldn't wait to get to school on the weekend. When we got there, a big banner was hanging over the front door that said, We read 1,000,000 pages on it. Principal Klutz was waiting for us. He was wearing a gorilla suit, just like he promised. Inside there was a table of snacks and treats and juice. Miss Daisy had brought in bonbons. But best of all, the gym was filled, wall to wall, with video games. I had never seen so many video games in my life. Families had brought in lots of TV sets, game systems, and games and lined them all around the gym. We could play all we wanted, and the only rule was that you had to take turns. For the kids who didn't like video games, there were tables of board games set up in the middle of the gym. I think they're called board games because you get so bored playing them. I played just about every video game in the gym. After a few hours of staring into the screen, I had a splitting headache. My hands hurt, and I thought my eyes were going to fall out of my head. It was the greatest night of my life. Chapter 12, Poor Miss Daisy. Why do you think they're calling it Poor Miss Daisy? This is the last chapter of the book.
No money.
Monday at school, we had social studies. Miss Daisy said she was really sorry, but she didn't know anything at all about social studies and that we would have to help her. I don't even know the name of the first president of the United States, she told us. Everybody knows that, right, kids? Who is it? George Washington. You don't, we all said. I haven't a clue. It was George Washington, we all shouted. Really? Miss Daisy said with a wink. Never heard of him. I was beginning to suspect that Miss Daisy might have been just pretending that she didn't know anything all along. One day, I caught her looking at a piece of paper, and her eyes were moving back and forth like she was watching a ping pong game. Hey, you're reading, I said. I am not, she insisted. You know I can't read. Then how come your eyes are moving back and forth like you're watching a ping pong game? I was just thinking about this great ping pong game I saw once, she replied. It was great. You should have been there. Maybe she was joking, and maybe she wasn't. You can never tell with crazy Miss Daisy. If it turns out that Miss Daisy really doesn't know anything, I feel a little sorry for her. The kids in our school had read 1,000,000 pages, and she couldn't read one page. The kids on our class knew how to spell and do arithmetic and social studies. She hardly knew anything at all. Don't feel bad, Miss Daisy, I told her. We'll teach you reading, writing, and arithmetic. And we won't tell Principal Klutz how dumb you are. She gave me a big hug. It will be hard work teaching Miss Daisy everything she doesn't know. I think that by the end of the year, if the whole class works together, we just might bring her up to 2nd grade level. But it won't be easy. All right, that was the end of Miss Daisy is Crazy. Do you really think she was crazy? Or do you think she was just acting like she didn't know anything? I want you to comment below and tell me what your opinion is. Do you think she was acting, or do you think she really didn't know anything? Have a great day.